We have some big updates for the next Spider-Man movie in the MCU, aka a movie that should have come out by now. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. So today we've got some news about Spider-Man 4 in the MCU, from actors to writers to directors and more. But before I get into this, be sure to hit that like button and comment down below your predictions for this movie. Are you excited? Are you worried? Let me know all that and more. Subscribe and hit that notification bell to help me reach my goal of 150,000 subscribers here on the channel. It would mean a lot. And if you want extra content, you can find that over on my Patreon. Any support over there truly does mean the world. So as we all know, Tom Holland's Spider-Man had a trilogy in the MCU that started in 2017 with Homecoming. We got a sequel in 2019 called Far From Home, and then in 2021, the trilogy came to a close with No Way Home, the global phenomenon that made almost $2 billion globally. Every other year, we got a new Spider-Man flick, in addition to Tom Holland appearing in other MCU films. His debut was in 2016 Civil War, and he appeared in both Infinity War and Endgame in 2018 and 2019. This December, we're coming up on 3 years since Spider-Man No Way Home hit theaters, and things have been rather quiet on the Tom Holland Spider-Man front. Now, we have been able to get a Spider-Man fix elsewhere, sort of. We got Across the Spider-Verse in 2023, we got the second Spider-Man game on the PlayStation, and how could I forget the Sony villain spin-off films? They're just so delightful. Breathe through the pain, smile through the pain. We have 2 more this year somehow. But somehow, like I've said, the MCU Spider-Man has been radio silent for almost 3 entire years. Well, finally, we have some updates on the film. It's been reported that both Tom Holland and Zendaya are returning, as they're currently working on new deals for Spider-Man 4. To Tom Holland, I say, duh, we have to have Tom Holland as Spider-Man. They're not going to recast, and he is the Spider-Man in the MCU. He was always going to return. It was just a matter of time, and this feels weird even talking about him. But Zendaya, on the other hand, a bit surprising. We know she played MJ in that trilogy, but based on the end of No Way Home, everyone forgot who Peter Parker was. That includes Ned and MJ. So it seems like they're going to bring MJ in, and maybe she's gonna have some interactions with Peter. Maybe by the end of this movie, she'll remember him fully, but it's interesting that they want to bring her back because they did set up a fresh start for Peter in the MCU. So I wonder, are they gonna introduce a new love interest for Peter, like a Gwen Stacy, or maybe even go a Black Cat route? Or are they gonna stick with MJ? 2 reasons I think it makes sense for them to bring Zendaya back, however. Number 1, she has tons of fans in the younger generation, so that adds to the box office appeal. And on top of that, she is dating Tom Holland in real life, so they have that chemistry and they work together really well. When it comes to the writers of this film, the movie is currently speculated to be written by McKenna and Erik, Sommers, who wrote the trilogy films for Tom's Spider-Man in the MCU. Now, could this mean more of the same? Again, at the end of No Way Home, Tom's Peter Parker has a fresh new start. He's living in an apartment. He's making his own suits. He's in a new phase of life now, and he's learning to be an adult. So you would think maybe they want to bring new writers in to switch that up and tackle this new phase of Peter's life, but that might not be the case if these guys return. However, Jon Watts, the director of the trilogy in the MCU, is not returning because it's been announced that Destin Cretton, who directed Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, will be helming this film. He's no stranger to the MCU, like I said, as he directed Shang-Chi, but he has been announced as the top choice to direct this 4th MCU Spidey flick. And it's interesting because at one point in time, Destin Cretton was attached to direct Avengers of the Kang Dynasty, but that movie got Thanos'd away and will never see the light of day. Fans have already been quick to point out that Cretton has directed some of the coolest action sequences in the MCU in Shang-Chi, from the bus fight scene to the showdown in the skyscraper. Shang-Chi is action-packed and really has some awesome hand-to-hand combat, so I'm hoping some of that can translate over to a web-swinging Spidey flick. In fact, in my opinion, Shang-Chi is probably one of the best MCU movies post-Endgame. You got No Way Home, Guardians 3, and Deadpool and Wolverine, but Shang-Chi is solidly the 4th best film, arguably. And I do understand Marvel wanting to work with the familiar face, someone they've already done a film with, but at the same time, it would have been exciting for them to bring in some new talent to the MCU, some fresh talent, a director or pair of directors who have established themselves outside of the MCU with a clear directorial style. Having them come in and have their vision fully set out for a Spidey flick would have been awesome, especially again for this new phase of life for Peter Parker Spider-Man, but at the same time, I do get Marvel wanting to work with people they're comfortable with and have already worked with. I also think Destin Cretton knows how to do action, so we're going to get at least that in the Spider-Man film. But my biggest concern for Spider-Man 4 is whether or not this movie will be a street-level Spider-Man story or a yet another multiversal affair in the MCU. There were reports a while ago that after the success of No Way Home, Marvel and Sony wanted to go the multiversal route with this film, whereas Tom Holland himself wanted to make it more of a street-level Spidey story. And it makes sense the studios wanted to go the multiversal route and capitalize off the success of No Way Home and even something more recently like Deadpool and Wolverine, because it's guaranteed to get butts and seats. People are going to hear about an event film and they're going to want to be a part of it, seeing it on the big screen, cheering with the audience. But at the same time, it would feel like a bit of a betrayal of the ending of No Way Home if we were to just turn around and make another multiversal Spider-Man film. With No Way Home, it felt earned that we got Tobey and Andrew. They helped Tom Holland's Peter Parker get out of a low point. They served a purpose in the story. I would rather them go the street-level route, really showing Peter learning to be an adult, learning about how to make these sacrifices for the greater good as Spider-Man, and honestly give us a villain who's like the physical embodiment of the inner struggle Peter's facing in this film, going back to the roots that we saw in the Raimi trilogy, that we saw even in TASM 1. We need a simpler story, and I think they understand that. I hope they do, but if they go the multiversal route, it does run the risk of coming off as cheap or unearned, whereas with No Way Home, it was very satisfying as a viewer and felt earned. Like, yes, Tom Holland's Peter Parker is a part of the MCU, but that doesn't mean that his next movie has to contain tons of other MCU heroes or multiversal elements. It can still be a contained street-level Spidey story with him swinging around New York City, fighting crime and kicking ass. I know Marvel's wanting to race towards Secret Wars, the next big Avengers film, as well as Doomsday, but post-credit scenes can set up Spider-Man getting with the Avengers. We don't need a whole movie for that, in my opinion. You can tease it with certain scenes, but this movie doesn't need to exist just to catapult us towards the next Avengers film. It needs to be a Spider-Man movie above all else. If you give us a simple Spider-Man story with some cool action, a badass villain maybe, but a compelling story, and frankly, a movie that resonates with people, everyone's gonna go buy a ticket to this and it's gonna be a success. If you make a great Spider-Man film, people will show up and show out for it. It doesn't have to rely on the multiverse. All that to say, I'm genuinely shocked this movie probably won't come out until 2026. In this article, it says filming is gonna start sometime in 2025, so the earliest we'd get this movie is middle of 2026 probably, though it could be as late as July of 2027, honestly. After the smash hit that was No Way Home, you'd think they'd want to get the ball rolling on this sequel much faster than they did. Like back in winter of 2021, when I got out of the theater for No Way Home, I was like, oh, we'll probably get another one in like December 2023. Wrong. I'm grateful this movie's happening, but it undeniably should have been more of a top priority for the studios to get this thing out and get the ball rolling on it much faster than they did, because we're going to end up having to wait probably 5 years between Spider-Man films. Spider-Man might just be the most iconic superhero of all time, and I'm grateful for, the Spider-Verse films, the video games, all that, but this is Spider-Man in the MCU. He needs to be a lot more of a priority and should pretty much be the face of the cinematic universe in my mind. But that does it for this Spider-Man 4 update. Are you guys excited, worried, nervous? How are you feeling about this upcoming movie? Drop your feelings and predictions down below, and of course hit that like button, subscribe to that notification bell, and join my Patreon for extra content, including live Q&As, reaction videos, and more. But that's gonna do it for this Spidey update. Thank you guys as always for watching, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.